But we decided to talk about the root issue of mental health. And the root issue that we've discovered is lack of self-worth or low self-worth among a generation of American girls. We have this statistic from the CDC that says over the past decade, the percentage of U.S. teen girls reporting persistent sadness or hopelessness increased by nearly 60%, reaching historic highs before improving only slightly in the latest survey. And we have uncovered that the reason for that is low self-worth. And so for the purposes of Under His Wings, we have our own definition of self-worth. And this is our definition. Self-worth is the truth about who you are. It is not based on your accomplishments, mistakes, or the opinions of others. Self-worth is an honest understanding of your value, your purpose, and the confidence to make meaningful choices about your life. And that is what we are all about building and instilling in the next generation of young women. So on our Substack, Arcelia wrote this piece about stewarding your worth. And Arcelia, I wanted to ask you some questions about that. So can you kind of give us the overarching goal of that piece?
Right. So when we think about stewardship, we're thinking about being faithful with what has been given to us. And we talk about stewarding time. We can talk about stewarding talents and any sort of other resources. But when we say stewarding your self-worth, that is something that I really hadn't pondered it in that sort of context before. But we were created in the image of God. And to be able to fully stay in that wonder of what that means, to be created in His image, right? And to unpack what it looks like. To steward the self-worth is to be able to say, wow, I was created for a purpose. I was created for a reason, and not getting distracted by what society, whether it's the culture, the time periods, what we read, what we see, individuals in our lives, to dictate what that is. And if we steward our self-worth, if we know who we are and who we belong to, that helps us then to be faithful stewards of everything else. And so stewarding, I remember someone once told me that what is the difference between self-worth and self-esteem? Well, self-esteem is what I believe about myself, right? And usually some of that belief comes in experiences and maybe what people say, maybe what I do. That's true. That's what we're all up against. Self-worth is what is true about what God says, right? And Psalm 139 is a psalm that I would challenge all of us to even go for 30 days. Let's take the 30-day Psalm 139 challenge and read it every single day and think about what that means, how we're created in His image and how God is always there. Stewarding that gift, the gift of being created in His image, we're different in that we've got the imprint of God on us. Just as Jesus said, render unto Caesar that which is Caesar, and unto God that which is God. So for us to be faithful stewards of self-worth is to live a life that honors God. And that right there comes through knowing Him.
Do you want to read Psalm 139 or the position that you're talking about?
Yes.
And while you're finding that, I'm going to read something. This is on our Substack. Self-worth is deeply connected to our identity. Yes. It influences how we see ourselves, how we relate to others, the boundaries we establish, and the choices that we make. And then you also say later on that our feelings about ourselves can change from day to day.
Yes.
And so that's why it's important to not ground yourself in self-esteem or how you feel about yourself, and ground yourself in something that you know is true.
Right.
And what better than to have the truth of God tell you who you are?
So Psalm 139, O God, O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You understand my thought from afar. You scrutinize my path and my lying down and are intimately acquainted with all my ways. Ultimately, the self-worth piece comes from being known. Like even the world will say that. There's an old song that is out in oldies that says, to know you is to love you, and I do, right? Mm-hmm. And so Jesus even said, if you love me, you'll obey my commands. And part of that is knowing how deeply that we are loved. We can't help but return that love to Him. And that in itself our self-worth is in all of that.